experience after nursing school was a bit different. I started to think about the position that I wanted and where I wanted to work and where I had the best chances after going through nursing school and seeing some of the clinical sites that I had visited. If y'all can hear my dog snoring her butt off, I apologize. She's one of those flat-faced breeds that just snores her butt off and sounds like she has sleep apnea. But I started to think about the place that I wanted to work at when I was in fourth semester of nursing school. And that's when COVID hit, unfortunately. But I liked the facility of one of the clinical sites that I was at. In fact, I was at that clinical site for probably most of my clinicals. We were fortunate enough to be able to pick our clinical sites, so hopefully that's the same with you all. You should be able to pick because it should depend on how far you have to drive, so I would think they have to let you pick. But I enjoyed that clinical site very much. The layout was you could understand the layout of it all. It was clean, cleanest a hospital could be. And the staff, I got to know the staff just a little bit, just on a name basis, but not like intimately. So when I was in fourth semester, what I did was I found out that they were hiring for CNAs, and I applied and they hired me. Unfortunately, I didn't even get to work, not even one day. I was an on-call CNA, and I didn't get to work not even one day because COVID hit. But then later on, down the road, I found out that they counted that as my employment there. When I became a registered nurse at the bedside, I also worked there as well. So they counted me as working there and counted those months, even though I didn't even work not even one shift. And that was good for me because when it comes to applying for other jobs, it shows that I have more than 1 year of registered nurse experience at the bedside. But that is something that you should consider doing. Get a job at the hospital that you wish to work at so that you can have your name out there. So when it does come time for you to apply there, you'll get on. Now, this isn't 100% foolproof. You don't know if this will happen or not, but do your best. Try anything, really, to get your best advantage. So there were other things such as transporter programs, volunteer programs where you talk to the patients, they may be in stress or duress, or you can help visitors navigate the hospital when they're trying to find their loved one. Those are volunteer programs. Look into those so you can get your name out there and getting good with the hospital administrators. Become a CNA, like I said, and you can also join residency programs when you become a nurse. I was a part of a residency program. Now, the thing about that was it wasn't even going to happen, the residency program. They weren't going to do it because COVID hit. But then I had sent an email to the floor manager, who I did see a lot when I was in my clinicals and who also happened to hire me. And I asked him about the residency program. He said, well, we're not going to have one this year. And he put me in contact with a recruiter. The recruiter at that time wanted a resource nurse. So she asked me if I was interested in that. I told her yes. And so I went through the process of doing that. At the time, it was an interview online because of COVID, and which is odd because it's a hospital. And I did the interview and I was going to get the resource job until she told me or notified me that the residency actually opened up and they're accepting 10 nurses. So she's going to put in my application for that. Lo and behold, the head of the residency was one of the clinical instructors that I had before, and she actually worked at that hospital. So I was accepted. Now, I'm not sure if it was because I was already on the payroll at that job or at that hospital, or if it's because they saw my face around, but I know people from my cohort also applied as soon as they found out that the residency was open. So those are ways that you can get your foot in the door. Apply for emergency technician jobs or CNA jobs. Emergency room technicians were needed at one of the hospitals that were offered as our clinical sites. Some students were emergency techs there, and they ended up getting their registered nursing job there as well. So get your face out there and get seen if you want to be at certain hospitals. Now, it may be hard for you if you don't do these things. So other places that are always hiring are skilled nursing facilities, long-term care facilities, and long-term acute care hospitals. So you can apply there, and it will also give you acute care skills that can be transferable over to the hospital. But these types of facilities are always hiring, and the risk of that is that sometimes nurses have up to 20 patients. As ridiculous as that sounds, that is true. And if you're a night nurse, you may be the only nurse there. SNFs, or skilled nursing facilities, and long-term care facilities are run horribly, in my opinion, and the nurse-to-patient ratios are horrible as well. I've heard that the patients there may need less attention than if you have the patients at a hospital. Like, they might just need you to pass meds, but I don't know for sure. But from what I hear, and they are horror stories, from what I hear, you may have 20 patients or more, and you need to care for them as well. And you might have one CNA who is responsible for even more patients. So just be mindful of that and be aware of that risk, because that is putting a strain on you, and it's putting a strain on your license. But if you need that experience and want to end up going to an acute care facility, such as a hospital, then try to get your foot in the door there. From my own experience, I haven't heard many nurses say that their skills after being at a skilled nursing facility has been transferable to a hospital. I think very few nurses are accepted, but I don't know for sure. I always have the mentality that if there's a will, there's a way. Apply, apply, apply. You never know what could happen. You never know how much that facility needs you or needs staff, which is another issue for, nurse turnover, high nurse turnover, and not having enough staffing. So these are the ways that you can help get your chances up in getting a job after you graduate. Be ready and willing to work at somewhere else other than an acute care hospital. You might want to work outpatient surgery, or at an outpatient clinic, or even plastic surgery, a plastic surgery clinic. They have independent ones, so you might do well there. You just never know. Cosmetic surgery, or cosmetics period, there's a need for nurses there. So just keep your options open and try to get your foot in the door in those ways. Hopefully you found this video helpful in some suggestions and in my own experience, and hopefully it turns out well for you. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.